Attack timing, 5 rules for the 700 to 2000 rated player. Here we go. Let's get right into it, guys. I'm going to take a look at some positions here and just show you guys right from the top on some things that you should know. 5 separate rules. Number 1 is, we're going to actually talk about the rules and then show examples. Protect your own king first. I got my notes over here. Number 2 is invite every piece to the attack. Make sure you're taking notes. You can also watch this video as much as you like. Number 3, count attackers and defenders. Number 4, wait for an attacking trigger, okay? And number 5 is calculate the first forcing sequence, or of course the most forcing sequences is what I like to show and talk about. So here we go. Number 1 is protect your own king first. This is important because sometimes I'll see students all the time or lots of times actually try to attack without making sure that their king is safe. So let's take an example like this, d4. Let's go like a JOBAVA London, knight c3. Let's go knight f6 and then bishop f4. And then we'll go with like e6, e3, and then maybe a a6 here, queen d2, c5, castles, and then b5, right? So now black is already starting to get aggressive on this side of the board. White would like to do the same. Of course, this is coming out of some JOBAVA London and some KYLO strike that we like to play here at the channel. But let's say something like h3 happens. We're going with g4. b4, knight moves around to e2. Queen a5 happens. Okay, we'll go king b1. Then c4 happens. And you see how fast we got castled so quickly, and now we're not defending our king as much as we would like. This is already bad, basically. So let's just say we just kind of ignore what black is doing, and I see this a lot in your own games. You're basically just ignoring what your opponent is doing. Make sure you're keeping your king safe. Protect your own king before attacking theirs. g4 looks great, but then let's say knight e4 happens. You bring the queen back. Now they're already on us. Something like c3 happens. This is already scary because now if c3 takes, it opens the b file. And if we play something like b3, queen a3, and we're already mated. Look how fast that was. Black didn't even get a chance to castle. They didn't have to because we didn't protect our king. Now, how we should be protecting our king is sometimes you don't castle as fast as humanly possible here, right? Queen d2, c5, maybe we wait a little bit. Knight f3, if this b5 were to happen, okay, maybe I'll go a3 now. And maybe I'll even castle kingside because he's so fast. You have to not just hop into what you want. You always tell students, play what you have to play, not what you want to play. So right now, because he has this head start, we need to focus on maybe king safety this way. If b4 happens, I'll gladly take, or maybe even knight a4, which actually in a lot of cases usually favors white in these type of positions. This one actually does favor black, but they actually probably wanted me to take. Okay, cool. Yeah, I see it. Takes, and then knight b5. Oh my goodness, look at that. That is crazy. Bruh. The reason being is because brilliant move too. Sheesh, that's crazy. So black pushing too many pawns, and of course, if you ever face this, now you know what to do. That's pretty amazing there. But if we would have been trying to castle, we would be getting cooked in a lot of cases here, right? So you got to be careful. You got to be very careful. Make sure you defend your own king first, guys, and pay attention to the defense of your king before you're going to attack. I always say the best defense is offense, but make sure that you're not just leaving your king wide open. Sometimes I'll see attacks where all of your pieces are nicely developed and then your king is still in the center. So then when the center opens up, even another example here is something like a King's Indian. I'm actually going to flip the board here because I like to look at it from black's point of view. c4, e6, f3, bishop g7, e4, d6. Let's go like knight c3 castle. This is the same as King's Indian. Bishop e3, let's say rook e8, and I'm just going to make some moves. Queen d2, let's go e5 maybe. Then we'll go e5. Knight e2 maybe, something like knight e2. I'm just making some moves here, trying to show an example rather than best moves. h4. Take, let's say like take, h5, I don't know, like bishop d3, maybe d5 could work here. I'm just going to play it, d5, let's say like g4, maybe white's trying to be ultra aggressive here. The problem here is that the king is still in the center of the board. So if you flip the board here and look at this, even going back a few moves, you should notice this. You should notice this x-ray. Let's say you're the one playing white here, and you're being ultra aggressive. Okay, bishop d3, right, d5 happens, g4, even taking, right? Taking, and then knight takes. This is possible, but let's say like a black, does something, I don't know, c6. This is actually a good move. If it takes, queen takes d4. g4, the problem is your king is in the center. You don't want to keep your king here like this. This is not something you want to run into because you'll get hit. Pawn takes, right? All of this stuff starts to break down quickly. You just start to notice how quick your king is in the center of the board. Do not attack when your king is in the center like this. And if you're the one on the other side of it with your king castle, you should notice the king is in the center of the board Rooks are connected. Always worry about your king safety first before doing anything else. Hopefully that helps. Number 2, invite every piece to the attack. Let's take a look at that. So this is I'll use like a Caro-Kann exchange variation. E4, C6, D4, D5, take. This is a variation I played a lot of times with white. Bishop D3, knight C6, C3, knight F6, bishop F4, and we'll go with E6. This is the worst variation to play, I will say. So if you are a Caro-Kann player, try to stay away from this one. You do want to move the bishop outside of the pawn chain rather than inside. After knight F3, bishop D6, bishop takes, castles, knight D2. Actually, rookie one's the best because you want to keep control over E5. So black doesn't like this because they want to play E5 themselves to free their bishop. Does isolate the pawn, but rook E8. We go knight E5 here. And now after knight to E5, black can do something like knight to D7, and this automatically blunders immediately.
Bruh. My leg!
This one's over. Let's see if we can find the move. White to move here. You can pause the video if you like, but we bring all our pieces to the attack here. Now, of course, this is a situation where, yes, our pieces are not developed all the way yet, but at the same time, we're going to use these 4 pieces. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Here it is. Bishop takes H7. First move. And then after king takes, we bring the queen over to H5 with check, attacking this, attacking that. King goes back to G8. We take on F7. And when king moves here or here, I used to actually take this rook with check, but you actually don't even have to. Find the move, white to move. Let's see if we can find it here. I'll give you a second to try to figure that out. The move here is the very simple rook to E3. Boom. The GG getting him off the board.
Bruh.
You can pre-move rook H3. You can literally pre-move it. And rook H3 is going to checkmate no matter what. Okay, maybe not. There's knight F6. Knight F6, rook H3, you know, here and mate that way too. But yeah, I've done this a lot. You bring your pieces to the attack, guys. Use everything, aim everything in one area, and then you have a good day. In fact, there's other type of situations too. I even show a JOBAVA London here like this. You know, we love a good JOBAVA ourselves. Here. Let's go E6, E3, bishop D6, knight F3. Castles, bishop D3, C5, take, castles, knight C6, E4, queen B6. This is a crazy move. I've seen people play this one. But then E5. It's the knight moves away. Boom. That's a Greek gift sacrifice. Boom. Queen H5 already cooked here. So you see how we use all 3 of these pieces. Sometimes a rook is available too. Let's say a rook was on D1. We'll be able to bring that rook into the game too as well. Bring pieces into the attack. Make sure you're looking for those combinations. This actually is number 5 too as well, looking for those most forcing options and forcing sequences, which is very important. Okay, let's go to our next one. Count attackers versus defenders. So that's a great one too, where you actually, Gary Kasparov has a video where he talks about, you know, he says like 6-5 is more dangerous than 4-3 or whatever it is, something like that. Maybe it's the other way around, but he's talking about just attackers versus defenders, guys. This is one that a lot of people, I guess maybe under 1500, just don't have the right defense when it comes to that. So I even say students do this type of thing. Let's go JOBAVA again, like this one. This one has actually happened a lot from students. This is a simple one, guys. Simple. Maybe if you're like under 1500, this one isn't a problem for you. Or this one is a problem for you. If you're over 1500, it's not a problem. But I've seen this, bishop F5, F3, and they'll try to go E4 or G4, which is totally normal. And after something like knight to C6, they'll go E4. So this is a problem.
Bruh.
Simple math. That's all it is, guys. Simple math. Defenders, attackers. How many defenders are on the square? How many defenders? 3. How many attackers are on the square? 1 and 2. So you cannot play this because this is not technically an attacker. It's like just the piece that goes there. These 2 are the attackers or whatever you want to call it, the defending square, versus these 3. This is just a very simple idea, guys. Very easy. Attackers versus defenders. You need to count how many attackers versus how many defenders every single time. There's another one with like a London system one, which goes like this. Here, 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 here. A lot of times people fall into this London system trap. Here, 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 something like this. And then this actually kind of blunders. Maybe not knight C3. Let's go like let's actually make a few more moves here and here. So because there's a bishop G5 thing. And then, okay, here. So now in this position, the problem is black immediately wins some material with E5. After the E5 move, right, we have how many defenders defending the E5 pawn? 1, 2, and 3 defending it. So after takes back. Okay, cool. 1, 2 defending. versus 2 attacking, but they're actually moving 1 now, so that won't work. So that means when they move away, well, now we have e4, and we actually end up forking the knight and the bishop here. Because we have 1, 2 defending, he has 2 attacking, but one of them will be used to get rid of this, which means they really have 1. So you just got to count it. You have to count it and use calculation in that, because we're going to win some material here immediately due to 2 of these defending with 2 kind of attacking the square, but one of them will be used. So technically it's only 1. Guys, this is simple. We don't have to go very far into this, but this is one that I do see a lot in the ratings from 700 to like 15, 1600-ish, you know, really not much higher than that. But sometimes I still do see it where you're not counting correctly. That's one thing you do want to do, is count correctly, guys. That's number 3. Next, waiting for an attacking trigger. What does that look like? So there are different types of triggers where you should be attacking. Like, for instance, a pawn on e5. If you're playing with the white pieces, a pawn on e5 will signify an attack. We'll take a look at that one in particular. Making sure the pieces are ideally placed, meaning they're developed and off the back rank. If you don't have your pieces developed, then it's going to be hard for you to attack anything. I always say the first to develop is the first to do everything else. So if you haven't developed pieces, it's going to be very hard to attack, right? These are attacking triggers, things to understand. If I need to sacrifice a piece, what does my follow-up look like? These are other things that we could talk about too. So let's take a look at like a French defense. e4, e6, d4, d5, e5, c5, c3. We'll go with let's do this variation. Here. I've seen this before. And then 97, bishop d3, castles. And I think even here it could be working, but I'm going to castle first. And then now, so black is oblivious to what's happening. Maybe you could agree gift before, but bishop takes h7, king takes, knight to g5, right? So the only reason, or one of the biggest reasons why this even works, king here, queen h5, and of course we have, sorry, that's a mouse slip. Queen h5, we have what we call the Greek gift, where black is completely cooked here. I think, honestly, you really probably should have played it before castling. Let me just make sure. Engine says Greek gift is, yeah, you play it now, don't castle. So I was just moving fast here, but Greek gift, a pawn on e5 is a trigger to signify some type of attack. Usually this happens in Caro-Kann's. This can happen in variations of a French, sometimes in Alekhine or Eliakim. When you get a pawn on e5, it does signify a king side attack. So this is a trigger. This is one thing to understand, is one of these type of triggers. Maybe we'll make a video of those type of triggers, what they are. But definitely a pawn on e5, especially with the white pieces. And vice versa, it would be a pawn on e4 with a bishop on d6. Understanding what triggers to understand there, right? So you want to wait for an attacking trigger. There's also ones when like defenders move away. You know, if there's a defender moving away after you attack something in an area, that's another one. Maybe there's a weak king that can trigger some piece play or some attacking chess like that. If the center becomes locked, then you have to play around the pieces. So these are triggers to pay attention to. And number 5 is calculating the most forcing moves or most forcing sequences. So in fact, we'll actually just use this example here. After castles happens, it's hard to talk about this or hard to understand this all the time. I actually need to turn this down. Sorry. I know your ears probably, when you were hearing the noises, was really loud. So I just turned that down. I just realized I was recording with some other stuff earlier. So that was loud. Now, one thing I've learned here is I teach students all the time. You should be calculating the most forcing options. The most forcing moves normally lose on the spot, but if they work, they win. So for instance, bishop takes h7. If it works, it's going to win. But if it doesn't work, of course, you check it off the list. Queen sacrifices and rook sacrifices, sacrificing pieces, period. If it works, it wins on the spot. It's the most forcing option, and it makes your opponent do something. So this is why we consider these. And you also want to have follow-ups too. They also repeat every move. What do I mean by that? Is after bishop takes h7, well, now you look for the most forcing option again, which is knight g5 or queen d3. Now you look for the most forcing option again, queen d3, c2, or h5. Look for the most forcing option again. You know, every rook e8. Okay, cool. Most forcing, queen takes or queen h7. I also like to show this like this. Here. You know, here. Maybe knight h7. I might have missed something here. Let me see that again. Check. Actually curious. Engine says queen h7 was a little bit better right here. Oh yeah, because of this idea. You always want to show this. Yeah, this is nice. So bishop g5 is a thing too. Oh, this is a mistake. Bishop g5 is better. Oh wow, look at this. This is nasty, boys and girls. Wow. Ugh. F6, you go queen 7, queen g7 mate. And then if knight of 6, we actually going to take here, which is the pin here, because your queen was hanging there. So like I said, we had engine analysis on this, which is fun. But you also just see that the Greek gift started all of this. This is called the Greek gift sacrifice. But of course, it's a forcing option. If you didn't know this, then you would castle, not considering the most forcing move. Then it gives black time to do something. Knight f5, knight g6, even h6, right? Where now this is not here anymore. And you've missed your chance where this is now going to be a much longer game. So you should be looking at your most forcing options first here, always, right? And if it works, it wins on the spot. If it doesn't, then it doesn't, right? But you should be looking for those most forcing moves, which will definitely help you tactically in your own games and practically. So these are things that people miss from the ratings from 700 to 2000 all the way through. So I want you guys to be accustomed to this. We're going to have more videos like this and more. So make sure you guys are watching, subscribe to the YouTube channel, just in case you guys have forgot, so we can get to 100K subs. So we got more videos just like this coming up. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.